This message you are about to watch is urgent, more urgent than anything you have heard or watched before on any convert experience or any experience shared on this channel or anywhere else. What this brother shared reveals the length God can go for a person regardless of his past, regardless of the wickedness he or she has done before. I can guarantee you that this experience will open your eyes to a dark reality of Islam you never saw before now. This is the story of a young man from Iran who scored in the top percentile on his university entrance exams but was still denied admission, not because he wasn't smart enough, but because someone decided his clothing was a political statement. Brothers and sisters, kindly comment where you are watching from so we can connect as family and pray for one another across the world. Also like and share and click the notification button to make this video to be suggested more to other people. I was born in Iran in 1964. My name is not the one I was given at birth, but for this story, you can call me Reza. I grew up in a devout Muslim family, and I took my faith seriously. I prayed. I fasted. I read the Quran. I believed with all my heart that Islam was the only true path to God. When I was 15, the Islamic Revolution happened. Like many young Iranians at the time, I was excited. We believed the revolution would bring justice, freedom, and a better future for our country. But that's not what happened. I worked hard in school. I was a good student. When it came time to take the university entrance exams, I did extremely well, scoring in the 90th percentile. I applied to medical schools and dental schools across the country, confident I would get in. But I didn't. I found out later that I had been blacklisted for political reasons. Why? Because I wore a suit to class. Someone in the school labeled me as a Westerner because of how I dressed, and that was enough to destroy my future. Instead of going to university, I was sent to military service, to a special army unit that was brutal, dangerous, and felt like a death sentence. I knew if I stayed, I might not survive, so I made the decision to leave Iran. There was no freedom of speech in Iran at that time. You couldn't say anything against the regime. Only a select few, those who supported the government, had any opportunities. So I left. I didn't know where I was going or what would happen. I just knew I couldn't stay. My journey took me over mountains, across dangerous borders, and eventually to a refugee camp in Austria. That's where everything began to change. Across from the refugee camp, a group of Christian missionaries from the United States and Canada had opened a small coffee shop. They served refugees, provided supplies, and offered a safe space for people like me who had nowhere else to go. I had a little money at the time, so I went into the coffee shop. That's where I met a man I'll call Michael. Michael was different from anyone I'd ever met. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink. He didn't live with his fiancée, something that was almost unheard of in the secular West I'd been taught to despise. And no matter how many arguments I started with him about religion, no matter how hot-tempered I got, the next day he'd greet me with the same love and kindness, as if nothing had happened. I was shocked. This was completely different from what I'd been taught about Christians. That was my first real encounter with genuine believers, but I wasn't ready to give up Islam. In fact, meeting them made me even more passionate about defending my faith. When I finally arrived in Canada as a refugee, I was zealous. I would stand on street corners and argue with anyone who challenged my beliefs. I was convinced I had the truth, and I wanted everyone to know it. That's when I met a woman I'll call Grace. Grace was a Christian, and from the moment we met, she talked to me about Jesus. I told her that Jesus was a great prophet, one of the greatest prophets in the Quran. But that was all. He was just a man, a messenger, nothing more. She said, "No, he's the Son of God." We had this conversation over and over for about a year. Every time we met, she would bring up Jesus, and every time I would argue with her, defending Islam with everything I had. Finally, one day, I'd had enough. I said to her, "Listen, you keep pushing me toward Christianity, and I don't like it. If you mention Christ one more time, you're not going to see me again. You're blaspheming the name of Allah." She looked at me calmly and said something I'll never forget. She said, "We as Christians share the best thing we have with those we love, and Jesus is the best thing I have." Then she asked me a question that shook me. "Do you have a personal relationship with your God?" I said, "What do you mean, personal relationship?" "The Quran says Allah is closer to the vein of your neck. That's as close as it gets." She said, "That's not what I'm talking about. The difference between Christianity and all other religions is that in Christianity, Christ comes to you. You don't have to go to him. He comes to you. Then she challenged me. What do you have to lose? If Jesus really is the Son of God, is he able to show himself to you? I said, well, if he's the Son of God, he should be able to. She said, then why don't you ask him? Ask him and see who he is. That night, I prayed a prayer I never thought I'd pray. I said, Jesus, I know you as a great prophet, one of the strongest, most powerful.
I sat in my dark apartment, staring at the pills on the table. I felt completely empty. I felt abandoned by everyone, my family, my friends, my God. I thought death was the only way to escape the pain. At exactly 3 a.m., I heard a knock at my door. I was angry. Who would be knocking at this hour? I went to the door, but when I opened it, no one was there. I thought it was strange, but I went back inside. Then I heard another knock. I went to the door again. Still, no one was there. I was getting frustrated. I thought maybe someone was playing a prank on me. I decided to stand by the door quietly so I could catch whoever it was. Then I heard a third knock, louder this time, more forceful. I threw the door open, ready to confront whoever was there. But again, there was no one. Just an empty hallway. Then I heard a voice. It wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside me, from somewhere deep in my heart. The voice told me that even though my mother and father had forsaken me, he would be there for me. I looked around. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was hearing things because of the stress and depression. But the voice spoke again. It told me it was Jesus. I was terrified. I told the voice to go away. I reminded it that I had said the name Jesus Christ of Nazareth in the mosque and it had gotten me into all this trouble. I didn't want anything to do with Jesus. I just wanted my life back. But the voice said something that stopped me in my tracks. It told me that he was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That he was ready to help me. That he had a plan for my life. I fell to my knees in that dark apartment. I didn't know what else to do. I was broken. I was empty. I was ready to die. But this voice, this presence, was so real, so powerful, so loving. I had never felt anything like it in all my years as a Muslim. I cried out to Jesus. I told him I didn't fully understand who he was, but I was willing to believe. I asked him to save me, to help me, to show me the truth. And in that moment, everything changed. The darkness lifted. The heaviness left. The suicidal thoughts disappeared. I felt a peace I had never known before. I felt loved in a way I had never experienced. I felt like I finally had a purpose. From that night forward, I was a new person. I started reading the Bible. I started going to church. I started learning about who Jesus really was. And the more I learned, the more I fell in love with him. But the persecution didn't stop. My family continued to reject me. My former Muslim community spread rumors about me. Some even threatened to kill me if I ever returned to Nigeria. I received messages telling me I was an apostate, that I deserved death according to Islamic law. It was painful. It was lonely. But I had Jesus. And that was enough. Years later, I became a pastor. I started sharing my testimony with others. I started helping Muslims who wanted to know the truth about Jesus but were afraid of what it would cost them. I started praying for people, and I saw miracles, just like the miracle I saw with that paralyzed girl in the stadium. Looking back, I realized that God was chasing me long before I ever knew him. He used a paralyzed girl. He used Christian friends. He used my own mouth in the mosque. He used a dark night in a Canadian apartment. He used everything to bring me to himself. I lost my family. I lost my calling. I lost my identity. But I gained everything in Jesus. Brothers and sisters, right now, there are millions of people like I was, trapped in religions that promise much but deliver only fear and emptiness. They are searching for truth. They are searching for love. They are searching for freedom. Please pray for them. Pray for Muslims. Pray for imams who are just like I was. Pray for young men and women who are being trained to lead in Islam but who have a secret hunger for something more. Pray that they would encounter Jesus just like I did. And if you're reading this and you've never surrendered your life to Jesus, I invite you to do that right now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. You don't know how much time you have. Pray this simple prayer with me. Jesus, I confess that I am a sinner. I have been searching for truth and meaning in all the wrong places. I believe that you died on the cross for my sins and rose from the dead. I accept your gift of salvation. Come into my heart. Forgive my sins. Make me new. I surrender my life to you. Thank you for loving me. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, please comment and let us know. Share this story. Like it. Subscribe. Let's keep spreading the gospel to those who are dying to hear it. May the glory of Jesus Christ shine forever.